Welcome back everybody, it's Yawgmoth here, and I'll be teaching you guys how to do the Medusa questline, part of the Grandmastering Quest series. I'll be using vorloff.com for its guide. If you go there and click Grandmastering link on the left, it'll bring you to this page. If you scroll down and click on Medusa, it'll bring you to the quest. And I suggest you read through the quest first to kind of get an understanding and to know what we're doing. We'll be digging up some bones and killing some bosses and stuff. But the first thing we're going to need to do is go inside this first building over here and buy a shovel and talk to him about a talisman. The shovel, he's also a banker, so you can withdraw some money and deposit items if you need. The shovel is only 1,500 gold, and he's going to tell you that he needs the other half of the talisman because he's got the first half. And the other half of the talisman is located on the 3rd floor of the ruins. So just equip your shovel and head kind of to the upper right where the entrance to the ruins is over here. But before we get through, we're going to need a map on how to get through this maze. So if you scroll down and click the map link on the bottom, we can have a detailed map that shows us how to get through the mazes, because we have to get to each of these 3 areas because we have to dig up bones from those areas. And right here, we can tell you what area we're in and what the coordinates are. We can take the red path, the yellow to green path, the yellow to blue path, and then the yellow path to the 2nd zone. And once we get to the 2nd zone, we can change our map to the 2nd zone area. So I'm going to speed us through here because it is pretty long. This is about an hour-long quest with bug form. Otherwise, it's about 2 to 3 hours if you were to walk through it completely invisible. Now the creatures in here are considerably strong. They do lightning spell damage and they attack as dark. So I do recommend you also have that 30k plus hit points. Amount of mana is not really necessary, but 20,000 mana probably minimum so you can help kill some of the bosses. So once we get in here, we have to go to the specific coordinate and get a pop-up. Make sure your shovel's equipped, and we have a bone. So just get the pop-up, tab it, and get out. If you get through here fast enough with a bug cloak, you'll be able to not grab aggro that quickly because you're moving through the map too fast. So you can see like none of the monsters, they look like they're non-hostile, but they're very hostile. If I linger too long, they'll start swarming and attacking me and shooting spells and stuff. But because I have Bug Cloak, I'm able to get through here pretty quickly. So each map has some coordinates, and we're heading to those coordinates to get the pop-up. We hit spacebar through the pop-up, and then we just get out of there because this is a dangerous area. And if you are hiding through here and your hide is getting low, make sure you press spacebar hide really fast. So if my hide is on 2, I usually go spacebar 2 really quickly. And if I'm lucky, 99% of the time I can re-hide without grabbing any aggro. But if you're not proficient at this yet, make sure any time that you're not around creatures, kind of like right where I was, re-hide there. So that way you can get to another spot where there's not that many creatures, then re-hide there. So that way if you make a mistake, you don't have to suffer too much of a consequence for them aggroing you. Now, I do recommend having IT on unless you have about 50 or 75,000 hit points or more. I have 100,000, so I can get through here without IT, and a considerable amount. I have the best gear in the game right now, and ability 95. So these creatures can just tickle me. Now navigating through this maze can be kind of a hassle. I definitely recommend pressing F5 before you exit through any door, because especially if you're using Monster Cloak, it does get kind of laggy a little bit and you'll not actually be where you think you are. So a few times you'll see my character kind of jump around. That's because the communication between the client and the server has a little bit of lag. And if you press F5, that will refresh and you'll be able to make sure you know where your character's at. If you're trying to bug cloak through here with 30,000 hit points, which I do on some characters, it is really important to have both the IT protection spell and to be F5ing every once in a while. Like anytime you're not around creatures, F5, because you don't want to be in a spot where you think you're safe, but you're actually like in melee range of a creature and they just whack you down really fast. Also, later when we get to the mob rooms, we're going to want to make sure that we F5 before we go into any door, so that way we don't accidentally get killed by the monsters. So let's kind of fly back through here and listen to some music as we head to the last few areas. Now that we have the last pair of bones, we can start heading to the boss rooms, where we're going to have to kill 4 different kind of Draco bosses, even though like 2 of them, one's a bone drake, one's a golem, one's kind of a raptor, and the other's a hydra. They will drop eyes, and we'll need these eye rubies for our talisman. We'll also, when we get to the 3rd floor, we'll need to get the other half of the talisman, and if we're lucky, there'll be some people hunting around there, or who have hunted, that will leave some talisman fragments on the ground, because they drop at a pretty high rate, and so they're pretty much trash for anything except for this quest, and you only need 1/2 of the talisman for this quest. So in these upper levels are a little bit more dangerous, the monsters are a little bit more numerous, but they do have relatively the same amount of hit points, maybe a little bit more. So I definitely recommend being a little bit more safe here on the 2nd and 3rd level eventually. We'll be killing each of the bosses using the rogue tactics, where we'll drop a whole bunch of traps and have them fall onto them. I have been able to farm these with maiden traps. You just need a heck of a lot. And the bosses are affected by blind traps. So one effective strategy that I did was leave a whole bunch of maiden traps, as many as I could afford, and then I placed a blind trap at one of the ends of the room. So once the monster went on all of my blinds, or went on all of my maidens as much as I could, I led him to a blind trap, and I had him blind while I regenerated mana. I also had him poisoned while I regenerated mana, and he just kind of sits there for a while, and then when the blind wears off, he walks back on my traps again, because I've presumably set up more maiden traps. So, and we're going to pretty much use this strategy to kill most of the bosses. The bosses here have about 800,000 hit points, plus or minus 100,000, so you only need about 70 maiden traps to kill them, or 1 poison trap and maybe 65 maiden traps, depending on how long he remains poisoned for. After we've killed him, he'll give us an eye. We'll pick that up, and you need the eye to be able to summon the next guy. So if you did this on multiple characters, or you had like multiple friends come, you cannot have one person have all the eyes until the end, because each person needs one of the next piece to be able to summon the next boss. Yeah. So hope you guys enjoy the next run, and I'll see you guys at the Hydra boss, because that guy is pretty interesting to defeat. So actually in this next area we got pretty lucky that there were some people hunting in it. And this is kind of what I was talking about. You can kind of tell if there's a lot of gold piles nearby. You can see this talisman on the ground that I picked up. But I don't recommend taking the gold. until you go through all the way to the end, and make sure there's no one actually killing here. So we can see that there were some people down there hunting here, so we'll not take their gold piles because they're leaving them on the ground so that they can kill faster, and they pick it up as they go, and then when they're done they'll go back through and pick up all the gold. Now if I would have went through there and went through all the zones and I saw that there was no one there hunting, then after I've killed the boss on the way back, I'll pick up the gold piles because it's likely that the people who were hunting there are no longer hunting there and they've left the gold piles. This is a community-based game, and you survive better, have a better experience if you are respectful to other people in the game and not necessarily steal their loot and stuff. But you certainly can. Like if you want to come in and just rob all the people that are doing stuff here, that is totally up to you to play that way. You may develop a few people in the game that don't like you and won't talk to you or help you, but if you're able to have other friends, or if you're able to survive without that, I guess that's completely a reasonable way to play. Not that I recommend it. So some of the problems here in this Hydra room is that you have to kill the Hydra 3 times. Each form of them has less hit points, they're around 500,000 hit points, but you have less room for it. So you have to double stack a lot of traps for it, and you may have to use some blinds here and there. Like when I was doing it with Maiden Trap and Poisons, I had to use blinds. But with Pitfall Traps, you can kind of just barely do it with one line of traps. And after, you can see you have to kill him 3 times, 1 for each head, and he'll drop 3 eyes that you'll need for the talisman. So next part of our quest is we're going to need to get this giant pearl, and to do this we're going to have the Linus Beach. There's a link to this quest on the Medusa quest line, and you have to go to a spot that is indicated up there for your class. Since I'm a rogue, I'll have to go to the spot that's 46, and I'll get a pop-up that gives me the bathing suit. And then after I have the bathing suit, I'll come over to this other beach. Now if you are one of the classes that has North Beach 2, just go left and to the upper part of the map, and there's a place to go to North Beach 2. And then you come to about this area here and you'll get a pop-up for the giant pearl. Now you can only get 1 giant pearl a month per character, so those are pretty hard. And then once we're done, we come back here, we talk to this guy, get the other half of the talisman that we need, and he'll tell us to go to the blacksmith. We come to the blacksmith, talk to him, fix our talisman, we put in our gems, we put in the pearl, and we're done. And there you have it. There's the Medusa Creant. And thank you very much for coming. I hope this has helped you, and I'll see you guys later. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe,